You make promises to yourself every single day, even after swearing this time will be different. What if you could stop sabotaging your own success and finally make your brain work for you instead of against you? In this video, I'll share 6 neuroscience-backed strategies that will help you rewire your mind and take back control starting today. I discovered these techniques when I spent 3 years researching why intelligent, motivated people still struggle to follow through on their goals. The problem is, your brain isn't designed for modern life. It's still running on ancient survival programming that actively works against your best interests. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to identify when your brain is lying to you and the precise steps to override these mental traps. Let's dive in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Your brain is constantly lying to you about what feels good versus what is good. Your prefrontal cortex, the logical part, knows you should study, exercise, or save money. But your limbic system, the emotional part, screams for Netflix, pizza, and online shopping. The limbic system is 200,000 years older and significantly more powerful. When these two battle, emotion wins almost every time, and your brain convinces you that just this once won't matter. Research from Princeton University found that your emotional brain processes information 5 times faster than your logical brain. This works because your ancestors needed instant decisions to survive. See tiger, run now. But in modern life, this same mechanism makes you procrastinate on important tasks because they don't trigger immediate pleasure. Your brain literally devalues future rewards, a phenomenon called temporal discounting. A study in the Journal of Neuroscience showed that delayed rewards activate your brain 30% less than immediate ones, even when the delayed reward is significantly larger. First, use the 10-minute rule. When you feel resistance to a productive task, commit to just 10 minutes. Tell yourself, I'll do this for 10 minutes, then reassess. This tricks your emotional brain because 10 minutes feels non-threatening. Second, make bad habits inconvenient and good habits effortless. Want to stop scrolling social media? Delete the apps and require logging in through a browser. Want to exercise? Sleep in your workout clothes. Third, use temptation bundling. Only allow yourself Netflix while on the treadmill or your favorite podcast while doing chores. Fourth, avoid the mistake of relying on willpower alone. It's a finite resource. Instead of fighting your brain, engineer your environment to make the right choice automatic. For instance, instead of keeping cookies in your kitchen and hoping you'll resist them, simply don't buy them. Your brain can't desire what isn't available. But that's not all. Your brain has another trick that's even more deceptive. This next one is crucial because it affects literally every decision you make. Your brain automatically focuses on negative experiences and ignores positive ones. You could receive 10 compliments and 1 criticism, and you'll obsess over the criticism all day. This isn't a personality flaw. It's called negativity bias, and it's hardwired into your neural pathways. Your brain literally gives more weight, attention, and memory storage to negative information than positive information. Neuroscientists at the University of Chicago discovered that negative stimuli produce more neural activity than equally intense positive stimuli. This works because your ancestors who ignored positive experiences, like a pretty sunset, survived better than those who ignored negative experiences, like poisonous berries. The problem? This ancient survival mechanism now makes you catastrophize minor setbacks and discount major achievements. Research shows that negative memories are stored with more contextual detail and emotional intensity, which is why you remember embarrassing moments from 10 years ago, but forget last week's accomplishments. First, practice the 3-to-1 ratio technique every evening. Write down 3 specific positive events for every negative one you experienced. This isn't toxic positivity. It's rebalancing your brain's natural skew. Second, When you catch yourself ruminating on something negative, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If not, it's your negativity bias lying to you about the importance. Third, create a wins folder on your phone where you screenshot compliments, achievements, and positive feedback. Review it weekly to counteract your brain's tendency to forget these. Fourth, the common mistake here is waiting until you feel like being positive. You must do this mechanically, like brushing your teeth, regardless of feelings. For instance, instead of replaying that awkward conversation in your head 47 times, deliberately recall 3 moments from today where things went smoothly, even tiny ones like hitting green lights or someone holding a door. Now, let's talk about something even more powerful: the way your brain creates false predictions. Most people don't know this, but your brain is constantly predicting the future, and it's terrible at it. Your brain doesn't experience reality directly. It creates a prediction of reality based on past experiences, then updates that prediction when new information arrives. The problem is, your brain's predictions are heavily biased toward negative outcomes. When you're about to give a presentation, your brain predicts humiliation. When you're starting a new relationship, it predicts heartbreak. These aren't insights. They're lies based on outdated data. Dr. Carl Friston's research on predictive processing reveals that your brain operates like a prediction machine that tries to minimize surprise. This works because accurate predictions saved energy for your ancestors. Knowing where predators hide meant you didn't waste energy being constantly vigilant. But here's the fascinating part. Your brain values avoiding false negatives, thinking there's no danger when there is, over avoiding false positives, thinking there's danger when there isn't. The result? Your brain systematically overestimates threats and underestimates your ability to handle challenges. A study in cognitive psychology found that people predict they'll feel negative emotions 2 to 3 times, longer than they actually do, what researchers call the impact bias. First, track your predictions versus reality for 2 weeks. Before challenging situations, write down what you predict will happen and rate your anxiety 1 to 10. Afterward, record what actually happened and your actual distress level. You'll discover your brain consistently exaggerates negative outcomes. Second, use the past evidence technique. Before your brain spirals into catastrophic predictions, ask yourself, what evidence from my past contradicts this prediction? Usually, you've survived 100% of your worst days so far. Third, practice catastrophizing completion. When your brain predicts disaster, take the thought all the way to its extreme conclusion, then work backward to see how unrealistic it is. Fourth, avoid the mistake of treating anxious predictions as valuable insights. They're not wisdom, they're glitches. For instance, instead of accepting this presentation will be a disaster as truth, review your prediction journal and notice that you've given 23 presentations, and 22 went fine or better. Your brain's track record is terrible. But wait, there's more to this. Your brain also lies about your identity itself. This next one is crucial because it determines whether you can change it all. Your brain creates a narrative about who you are. I'm not a morning person. I'm bad at math. I'm socially awkward, and then selectively filters reality to confirm this story. This is called confirmation bias and makes you unconsciously sabotage opportunities that contradict your self-concept. You're not discovering who you are, you're reinforcing a story your brain invented years ago, often based on limited childhood experiences. Research from Stanford psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck shows that your brain craves consistency and predictability more than growth. This works because having a stable sense of self helped your ancestors maintain their position in social hierarchies. If you were the hunter, changing roles caused group confusion and survival risk. The problem? Your brain now protects this outdated identity by creating a phenomenon called cognitive dissonance. When you do something that contradicts your self-image, your brain experiences actual discomfort and pressure to either stop the behavior or change the belief. Studies show that people with fixed identities will unconsciously avoid situations where they might succeed in areas they believe they're bad at because success would threaten their self-concept. First, audit your I am statements for 1 week. Every time you say or think I am followed by a trait, write it down. You'll be shocked how many limiting identities you're reinforcing daily. Second, replace fixed identity language with growth language. Instead of I'm not a morning person, say I haven't yet developed morning habits. Instead of I'm bad at public speaking, say public speaking is a skill I'm building. This tiny shift changes everything. Third, conduct identity experiments. Deliberately act in ways that contradict your self-concept for 1 week, treating it like a science experiment. You're not changing who you are, you're testing whether your brain's story is accurate. Fourth, the mistake most people make is waiting to change their identity story until after they've changed their behavior. It works backward. Change the story first, and the behavior follows naturally. For instance, instead of saying I'm lazy when you skip a workout, recognize that lazy isn't your identity. It's a behavior pattern you can change, and you're not obligated to repeat it just because it happened before. This brings me to the next secret, how your brain lies about effort. Now you might be thinking you already know about hard work, but here's what most people miss. Your brain systematically overestimates how much effort future tasks will require and underestimates how capable you'll be when you're actually doing them. Psychologists call this the planning fallacy in reverse. Before you start, your brain makes the task seem impossibly difficult. But once you begin, you often discover it's 70% easier than predicted. This lie keeps you stuck in procrastination and overwhelm. Dr. Tim Peichel's research at Carleton University explains that your brain uses effective forecasting, predicting how you'll feel during future tasks. This works because conserving energy was crucial for survival. Your ancestors couldn't waste calories on unnecessary activities. But your brain's energy conservation system is miscalibrated for modern challenges. A study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that people predict tasks will take 30 to 40% longer and feel 50% more difficult than they actually do. Your brain inflates effort predictions to discourage you from starting, essentially lying to protect you from wasting energy. First, use the first step only method. Don't think about the entire project. Identify the smallest possible first action and do only that. Not write the report, but open the document and type. The title. Your brain can't catastrophize such a tiny step. Second, collect evidence by rating your predicted difficulty 1 to 10 before tasks and actual difficulty 1 to 10 after. Within 2 weeks, you'll have data proving your brain consistently lies. Third, leverage the Zeigarnik effect. Once you start something, your brain obsesses about completing it. The hardest part is always starting. Momentum takes over. Fourth, avoid the trap of waiting until the task feels manageable. That feeling will never come. You must move despite the feeling, and the feeling will change after you begin. For instance, instead of staring at your blank screen thinking, I need to write 2,000 words and it'll take forever, just write 1 sentence. You'll often find yourself 500 words in before you realize you've started, because your brain's dire predictions were complete fiction. But that's not all. There's one more critical lie your brain tells about time itself. This final one might be the most important because it affects your entire sense of urgency. Your brain experiences time asymmetrically. The past feels like it went quickly, especially years ago. The future feels infinite and far away. This distortion makes you think I have plenty of time for important goals, while simultaneously thinking, where did the time go? About wasted years. Your brain lies about both directions, compressing meaningful past time while expanding meaningless future time. This kills urgency and creates the illusion that change can always happen later. Dr. Hal Hirschfield's research at UCLA reveals that your brain treats your future self as a stranger, not as you. Brain scans show that when you think about yourself in 10 years, the same regions activate as when you think about other people. This works because your ancestors lived short lives focused on immediate survival. Future self wasn't a relevant concept when average lifespan was 35 years. The consequence? A study in the Journal of Marketing Research found that people consistently prioritize their present self's comfort over their future self's well-being, essentially betraying someone they'll eventually become. Your brain also experiences temporal landmarks, New Year's, birthdays, Mondays, as fresh starts, but then allows weeks to blur together indistinguishably, making time feel simultaneously too fast and too slow. First, use the eulogy test. Write what you once said at your funeral, then work backward to determine what must happen this year, this month, this week, and today to make that true. This creates authentic urgency by making the future concrete. Second, practice future self-journaling. Once weekly, write a letter from your 10 years older self to your current self. What does that version of you thank you for? What do they regret you didn't do? This activates emotional connection to your future identity. Third, calculate your weeks remaining. If you live to 80 and you're currently 30, you have roughly 2,600 weeks left. Seeing your life in weeks rather than years changes your perception dramatically. Suddenly later doesn't feel so infinite. Fourth, the critical mistake is assuming you'll feel urgency before acting. Urgency is created by action, not before it. For instance, instead of thinking, I'll start that business someday when I'm ready, recognize that you've already used up 1,560 weeks of your life if you're 30, and someday isn't a day of the week. It's a lie your brain tells to avoid discomfort now. Now let's quickly review everything so you can actually use this. Let's quickly review what we covered today. Number 1, the instant gratification trap. Your emotional brain hijacks your logical brain. Number 2, the negativity bias illusion. Your brain remembers and magnifies bad experiences while erasing good ones. Number 3, the prediction machine malfunction. Your brain predicts catastrophic futures that never happen. Number 4, the fixed identity delusion. Your brain creates a false story about who you are and filters reality to confirm it. Number 5, the effort paradox. Your brain makes tasks seem impossibly hard before you start them. Number 6, the time perception distortion. Your brain treats your future self as a stranger and makes later feel infinite. Remember, your brain isn't your enemy. It's just running outdated software designed for a world that no longer exists. These lies aren't personal failures. They're universal human glitches. You have everything you need to override them using the specific techniques we covered. The only difference between someone who stays stuck in self-sabotage and someone who takes control is awareness plus action. You now have the awareness. Don't wait until January 1st or Monday, or when things calm down. Those are just more lies your brain tells. Start with just one technique from this video today, preferably the 10-minute rule from point 1 because it's the easiest entry point. I promise you, 6 months from now, you'll thank yourself for not believing your brain's excuses. If you found this helpful, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with others whose brains are also lying to them. Subscribe for more neuroscience-backed strategies like this every week. Drop a comment telling me which of these 6 lies your brain tells you most often and which technique you're going to try first. And if you want to learn how to build unbreakable habits that stick, check out this video next where I break down the science of behavior change. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.